News of potential dealings with Galatasaray, a link to a signing from Napoli via Ipswich, and maybe some alternative solutions to the PSR problem. Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with a transfer talk rumour roundup. Make sure you smash the like button and hit that subscribe button. Help us continue on the march to 6,000 subscribers. We haven't done as many videos of late, but trying to do as many as we can with the transfer rumour roundup and obviously work and everything else getting in the way. So we try our best on the channel. So do please leave a like. Hit the subscribe button to help us continue to grow and get your comments in. Your thoughts on the latest news surrounding Aston Villa. So, yes, we're getting close to this June the 30th deadline for accounts. And I guess the panic was originally around profit and sustainability. Would we need to make a big sale? What would that look like? Is there a mad rush? And it's kind of been a little bit quiet on that PSR front for Aston Villa. Maybe there's talk of selling the women's team to loosen the purse string, so to speak, and to relieve the pressure. But also there's potential for one or two players to move out of the club that maybe weren't the highest profile, but could bring in much needed funds. So we talked about Kane Kessler-Hayden the other day, who looks like he's potentially on the way to Middlesbrough. For what fee, we're not sure. They said about a £3 million pure profit for Aston Villa, whether that's a 3 million initial fee with add-ons on top, or whether we're going to look for a little bit more. We'll wait and see. Now we're seeing Louis Barry being linked to moves away from the club. Aston Villa apparently putting him up for sale. Birmingham City being interested, Leeds being interested, Hull City obviously interested as well as Stockport, where he did so well on loan last season. But whether they could afford him is another matter. And other potential clubs as well interested in him. He had a great season, a great half of a season at Stockport. So there's obviously a player in there and obviously very talented. So I'm pretty sure Aston Villa could command a decent fee for him. Again, increasing with add-ons, sell-on fees, and all that sort of stuff as well to add on to it. So those couple of sales, along with, I think Leander Dendoncker was quoted as well as potentially being part of that. I mean, what we could get for him, I'm not too sure. But moving on to the wages issue, he could solve a big problem of that. But more in terms of the Kessler-Hayden and Louis Barry and maybe one or two others, that's where we could really, I guess, resolve some of the problems with PSR, utilize the funds that we've raised from the Champions League in particular. I guess it's last season now, for the next season's accounts. And then that puts the PSR situation in a little bit of a different light moving into next year's accounts. I mean, let's talk about accounts, and who else is sick of talking about PSR? But we have to talk about it. And then obviously this potential sale of the women's team and what that means, then that could be another huge deal and give us a lot more leverage in terms of transfers. Now, moving on to the other issue, when I talked about Dendoncker's wages, this squad cost ratio in terms of UEFA. Apparently, Aston Villa and Chelsea are going to find out their fate next week in terms of what happens in terms of punishment. Likely to be some sort of fine. But apparently, we've been discussing with Galatasaray different transactions. So the outgoings first, potentially Emi Martinez and also Luca Dean have been mentioned as well in conversation around transfers away from Aston Villa. Now, we know two of the biggest wage earners. So in terms of this squad cost ratio, that will be a huge chunk of that taken off. If you factor in Leander Dendoncker as well, wherever he goes, that could take a huge chunk again off the wages. But in terms of transfer fees, they're talking about something like 28 million euros. Now, I would imagine that Emi Martinez is going to command somewhere in the region of 40 to 50 million euros by himself. So that transfer fee has to be absolutely rejected out of hand. Luca Dean, you're probably looking in the region of maybe 10 million. So that takes it to 50 to 60 million for both players. Now, I would imagine there'd be some sort of, if it was realistic, there might be something like, 45 million euros with add-ons again after certain appearances or certain other clauses added in. But for 28 million, that would be scandalous to accept anywhere near that rate. But absolutely, Galatasaray are well within their rights, if reports are to be believed, to go in with a low offer, because it depends how desperate Aston Villa are to get these players off the wage bill. Manchester United chat has died down a little bit around Emi Martinez. Apparently, his representatives have spoken with Man United for quite a long time, but that hinges on Onana moving. We talked about him going to Monaco. Then that paves the way for Emi Martinez potentially to go to Manchester United, and then a potential move for Lucas Chevalier for Aston Villa. So lots and lots of moving parts there. And you never know, it could end up with Emi Martinez staying at Aston Villa. So I think more will be revealed next week, potentially with this type of deal. It doesn't look like the rush is on with PSR, but who knows what might be happening behind the scenes. Now, coming in from Galatasaray is a potential player in the name of Gabriel Sara. Now, they're talking around, apparently Aston Villa bid 20 million euros for him. Galatasaray looking for more like 30 million euros. Now, I knew I kind of recognized the player, and I wasn't sure where I recognized him from, but turns out he played for Norwich for quite a few appearances from 2022 to 2024, playing 85 times, scoring 20 goals. Before that was at Sao Paulo, appeared 97 times, scoring 14 goals. And then signed for Galatasaray in 2024, where he's appeared 31 times and scored 2 goals in the league. Now, I'm pretty sure he played further forward for Norwich, but looking at his SOFA score, which I will bring up now, it seems like he plays in central midfield and almost defensive midfield as well. So that's a little bit of a surprise to me, and more of a playmaker. But I'm sure he played out wide for Norwich, but someone might be able to correct me in the comments. But not had a bad season at all. Gets all about the pitch. So obviously got a really good engine. 27 starts, 30 appearances, 2 goals, and 4 big chances missed. Both goals from inside the box and with his left foot. 8 assists, so pretty good there, and 12 big chances created, 2.3 key passes per game. 83% in terms of accurate passes, 91% in his own half and 71% in the opposition half. The key here is a lot of the passes, almost doubled and attempted passes, are done in the opposition half. Obviously, Galatasaray are favourites in their league, dominate possession, but that's a good sign. 3.8 ball recovery, so works hard for the team. And then in terms of duels, not a huge amount there, but I would imagine that, as I say, Galatasaray have a lot of possession, and probably it is not called upon too much to do that sort of stuff. So looks in a good ability on the ball. Brazilian player, as we know, good technical ability, and obviously I'm sure able to take the ball under pressure. But is he the standard of player that we're now looking at? Is he the type of player that would come in and flourish? 25, 26 years of age, possibly the right age, but is he the profile that Unai Emery typically goes for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, we've also potentially taken a look at Jens Cajuste. I think that's how you pronounce it. Napoli player, but was on loan at Ipswich last season in the Premier League. Now, I saw a bit of him, and he actually played pretty well against Aston Villa, I think, in whether it was the game at Villa Park or the game at Portman Road, but he looked good. And then as they knew that their fate in terms of their Premier League survival, I was watching him, and he looked the one player who had some ability and could really play in my opinion. And I think he scored a couple of goals towards the back end of the season. One absolutely brilliant goal, if I remember right. I think they lost maybe 4-1 or 4-2 in the game, but he scored a cracking goal. 6'2", 25 years of age, so similar age to Sara, and played for Reims from 2022-23, 5 goals in 39 games. Napoli, 26 appearances before going on loan, as I said, to Ipswich, and scored 1 goal in the Premier League in 30 games and has 25 caps for Sweden. So looking at his SOFA score, heat map and stats, again, another defensive midfielder / central midfielder. Again, similar in what we're talking about with Gabriel Sara. It gets about the pitch more, operating down that left hand side, not really as across the pitch like Sara was. 25 starts, 30 appearances, as I said, 1 goal in the Premier League with his right foot, 1 assist. But in terms of passing, 90% accuracy in his own half, 79% in the opposition half, 3.6 ball recoveries, 1.1 clearances, 60% in terms of successful dribbles, and a higher duels won rate than Gabriel Sara. But obviously he's playing for Ipswich, so he's going to need to be better in defence. He's not going to have the ball as much. But again, is he the level of player that we should be looking at? I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Is that someone that Unai Emery can get something out of? Has the Premier League experience that he's had last season stood him in good stead for coming into a club like Aston Villa? But also, I guess what it might mean is, what does it mean for Boubacar Kamara? There's been multiple central midfielders or defensive midfielders that we've been looking at apparently over this summer. So what does that mean with Boubacar Kamara with his contract situation? Are we potentially looking at selling him, but going with Onana and Tielemans as the first choice pairing in central midfield, and then bringing someone else in as a bit of an understudy? We're looking at Enzo Berenacea as well, apparently taking a look at him over pre-season, not looking to move him on right away. So is that potentially spelling the end for Kamara? Do we need to cash in now when his stock's high, when he can't go for run his contract down, and then look to move him on? You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. But interesting. I think that's the key at the moment. Looking like we're starting to move in the market potentially. I think a few outgoings first before the incomings start to come through. There's also John Lukumi, who is apparently wanted by multiple clubs across Europe. Seen a report that Aston Villa are at the head of the queue, whatever that means. But I think we're probably going to do a good 2, 3, 4 deals, hopefully in quick succession before the pre-season starts. So I think watch this space in the next 2 weeks, because I'm pretty sure that Unai is not going to want a summer like he had last year, where we were chopping and changing, bringing players in at different stages of the pre-season window. And then we had players coming back from European Euros and different international competitions. And it was just way too disjointed in terms of pre-season. This time round, we're going to be much more settled. The players are going to have much more rest. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be fit, ready and raring to go for the new season, and with potential new signings in. People who is wanted to move out have gone, and all of this PSR, SCR, all this absolute rubbish will be long behind us. But I think there's still a bit of this rumour mill still to go. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Digne to Galatasaray, Gabriel Sara coming the other way. Does that look like a good deal to you? Louis Barry, Kane Kessler-Hayden, Leander Dendoncker, are those the players to solve our PSR issues? And Jens Cajuste, what does that mean? If we're interested in him, does it spell the end for Boubacar Kamara? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button on your way out if you've made it this far. We'll be back with plenty more transfer talk, rumour shows, potentially fans forum as well next week, and hopefully a special with Gareth to talk about a football analyst's perspective on who Aston Villa need to sign. But thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa.